basically 3 different types of embossing powder. What I'm using here is just a regular standard, the usual that people fall to, embossing powder. But there's, on the other side is what's called detail, and then on the other end is the ultra thick embossing. And basically the difference, all the difference is the size of the grain. When you have really, really tiny lines, which this does, so if you were using, say for example, especially like a colored embossing powder, say black or brown, you would want to use a detailed powder because you want the tiny grains to stick in those tiny lines and make them stand out. If you were to use a thicker grain, when that melts, it would blob and it would hide your lines and you would lose the detail of the stamp, therefore called detail embossing powder. If you're using more of a solid image, this works fine. Now, ultra thick embossing enamel has really thick grains. In fact, I'll pull some out here in a second and show you. Close to My Heart does not sell ultra thick embossing enamel. You certainly can do this with any 3 of the embossing, detailed, regular, or ultra thick. The difference is, ultra thick, you won't do near as many coats. Detail, you're going to have to do a ton of coats because the grains are so much finer. But I have to tell you, when I made this card, I did it with the detail because I couldn't find my regular embossing powder. And also because I was doing this for a Close to My Heart convention, I didn't want, or virtual convention, I didn't want to use my ultra thick, as we don't carry ultra thick, and I wanted to use a product that the consultants would have. So it can be done with any of the grains. It just makes life a little easier. Okay, I don't know if this will show up on the camera, but this is the detailed, really, really tiny. Let's see if it'll show. Really fine, smaller than salt grains, smaller than sugar grains. It would probably be more on the line of flour. It's just a real fine powder. This, of course, is the standard embossing powder. The granules are slightly larger. Okay, that's it here. It's not quite as fine. You're getting more towards the sugar size grain, I guess would be fair to say. Now, in the ultra thick embossing enamel, now this is a big jar. I used to teach stamping classes at a stamp store, so I was able to get a decent deal on it. It's not cheap, but you can buy it now in smaller containers. This container, and this is about 10 years old actually, was $12. So, and it's a large container, so that kind of give you an idea. It's just not worth it if you're only going to do this once every couple of years. But can you see the size of the grains? Much, much larger. I guess that's actually more sugar now that I'm looking at it, but you get the idea, okay? It will just go much quicker if you use these thick grains.